happiness? Is it really a choice? Can somebody just decide one day out of the blue and say, I want to be happy, and then just make it so? Like in an instant? Well, the answer is yes and no. Happiness is a choice, and you can choose to be happy in an instant, but it's not like it's something that can be achieved in an instant because achieving happiness is a journey. Believe it or not, achieving happiness is a journey, and you can choose in an instant to decide to journey toward happiness, to journey to happiness. And the reason why I say that is this. You were happy once upon a time in your life. More than likely, you were happy once upon a time in your life. And if you're not happy at this point in your life, what that means is that, let's say if you're depressed or if you're an anxious soul, what that means is that you decided, whether you know it or not, to take a journey away from happiness, away from the mentality of happiness. You took a journey, and it took you however many years you've been on planet Earth. That's how long it's taken you to get where you are thus far. If you're depressed or if you're anxious, anxiety or what have you, then you made a journey to whatever mental state you're in right about now. Therefore, what you have to do is turn around and go back. And technically speaking, mentally, spiritually speaking, you have to walk the very same distance back to happiness that you walked away from happiness to get to whatever you are, depressed, anxious, hopeless, whatever the case may be. You have to turn around and decide to go back. What's interesting about that is this. There's so many people that have decided, whether they know it or not, that the trip back to happiness just ain't worth it. Because it can be quite possibly a difficult journey depending on how you navigate the road. And some people have gotten to the point to where they believe that they need to be anxious or they need to be depressed. They think that it's some kind of badge of honor, or maybe they're just stubborn. Some people, they've traveled so far that they resent the fact that they have to turn around and go all the way back. And some people don't even want to admit that they decided to leave the original happy state that they were born into to go into a depressed state, a spiritual low place. Pride even keeps people from wanting to go back because people want to say that redemption is in an instant, and that and in that case, what do? They pretend that they're happy. They pretend that they got the joy of the Lord, but when nobody else is looking, the people that they pretend in front of, what do? They beg God to give them happiness. And God is saying, hey, turn around and go back to where you came from. This is the meaning of the parable of the prodigal son. He was born into happiness. He was born into a wealthy family. His father was wealthy beyond anything you could ever imagine. His father was, you could basically say his father was a king. And he decided to leave that kingdom and take a long, hard journey into the world of oppression, of depression, poverty, sickness, you name it. He ended up in a pig's pen, having to feed slop to pigs. And his wages were so low, he couldn't even afford a decent meal, that he contemplated stealing slop from the pigs to eat. And spiritually speaking, there are a lot of people in that very same state. I mean, the parable is a spiritual analogy of what so many people have descended into, a state of spiritual, a spiritual pit, if you will. And in order to get back to happiness, they have to turn around and make that journey back. And it would behoove you, if you want to be happy, if you're not happy, to swallow your pride or whatever's keeping you from turning around and going back to your father's house. It would behoove you to let all that stubbornness, that pride, whatever the case may be, let it all go, turn around and go back. And just like the prodigal son, you will be welcomed back into your father's house. You will be happy again. You will be healthy. You will be wealthy. And you will understand some things about yourself. You will come home to yourself. That's what the prodigal son did. He came home to himself, and he basically became spiritually enlightened, so to speak. Anyway, thank you for listening. This is Dario Thomas. Subscribe to the Spiritology Television Network on YouTube. If you know anybody that would appreciate these kind of spirit talks and lessons, send them the link, urge them to subscribe. And if you're needing any kind of guidance or something of a sort to understand what needs to be done to turn around and go back to the Father's house, this book can help you. The Power of Spiritology by Dario Thomas. It can show you, talk to you in plain, simple English, how to turn around and journey back toward happiness. And the good thing about that journey is this. You know, as you left happiness and journeyed into depression or whatever your dominant psychological state is at this time, as you left, you may not have noticed, but you gradually, let's say you journeyed away from happiness into depression, which that's where most people end up anyway, depression. Let's say you journeyed away from happiness into depression. Whether you noticed it or not, you may have noticed it, but you may not have paid much attention to it. Otherwise, you may have turned around and went back a long time ago. But as you journeyed away from happiness, you gradually got more and more depressed. Gradually, more and more depressed. Your mind may have gotten more and more dull. You may have gotten more and more confused over life, amongst other things. Hostility, that's always a factor in the equation as you journey away from happiness toward depression, because that's where you're going to go. If you go away from happiness, you will go toward depression. And that's just the way it is. I mean, there's no other way to go. But anyway, you gradually got more and more unhappy, more and more depressed. Likewise, if you turn around and go back, you'll see your level of true, genuine happiness, your true spiritual state increasing, meaning the light, that inner light, will begin to start glowing gradually ever so brighter. So go ahead and turn around and make the journey. You'll be happy you did. Haha, pun intended. And again, if you want to understand, if you don't already, there's The Power of Spiritology, this book by Dario Thomas. It's on sale at Amazon.com. It can show you precisely what to do. Not just some kind of philosophy or anything that just tells you, oh, you need to be happy. Don't worry, be happy. It actually gives you a way, a clear-cut, precise way. It tells and shows you what to do. And among other things, it's an all-around self-help book. It can help you with your relationships, your finances, and to some degree, even your health. It can help you. It can help you across the board in every aspect of life. But anyway, again, this is Dario Thomas. Subscribe to the Spiritology Television Network on YouTube. Urge somebody to subscribe. Share the link. Appreciate you listening. God bless.